That smells so good. Oh, the pita's puffing. Are we gonna get full inflation? Oh, it's gonna go. Welcome to Lazy Susan Fusion, the show that combines classic cuisines with iconic dishes to make an all-new fusion recipe. I'm your host, Trig Ferrano, and for this episode, the all-new fusion dish will be spicy hummus. What's super smooth, a bit nutty, and a crowd pleaser at every party? Well, me, obviously, but also hummus. Your basic hummus is delicious, but can also get a bit boring. Sometimes you need your food to slap you in the face to remind you of the fine line between pleasure and pain. Introducing Mango Habanero Hummus. Any good hummus needs a solid pita bread, so we're gonna make a quick and easy pita that, spoiler alert, I'm gonna turn into pita chips. First, combine yeast, sugar, and warm water and let the yeast bubble back to life for a couple minutes. There's nothing worse than mixing, kneading, and resting your dough only to find out hours later that your yeast was dead all along. Once the yeast is confirmed to be alive and breathing, add olive oil, salt, and half of your flour. Mix until it forms a wet but cohesive dough, and then slowly add the rest of the flour bit by bit. Bread tip: you can always add more flour to dough, but it's really hard to add more water. So take it easy adding your flour bit by bit until the dough cleanly pulls away from the sides of the bowl. At that point, mix and knead the dough for 5 to 6 more minutes until smooth and you can pull on the dough without it ripping. Lightly coat with oil, cover, and let it rest for 1 hour. Then divide it into 6 equal-ish balls. Cover those and give them some space to grow for 30 minutes while you make your hummus. For your classic OG original recipe hummus, you're only gonna need 5 ingredients: chickpeas, olive oil, garlic, lemon juice, and tahini, which is a sesame paste. If you can't find one at the grocery store that you like, there's a really good one linked in the description. I guess you also need salt and water, so 7 ingredients, but the grocery list is 5 ingredients. First, mash up the garlic, salt, and lemon juice. Put that in a food processor or blender with the tahini and mix it together until it seizes up and makes a dry, kind of old peanut butter texture. Then slowly add some cold water until it loosens back up into a sauce. Add your drained chickpeas, which straight from the can is okay, but if you have 20 minutes, boiling them with a ½ teaspoon of baking soda will help break down the skins and make your hummus extra smooth. Without boiling your chickpeas, you can make a hummus from canned to creamy in under 5 minutes. Don't believe me? Check out this video where I do it live. And that's your classic hummus. Pretty good, but the challenge today was to make a spicy hummus. And there are a few ways to add spiciness to a dish. Unlike salty, sweet, sour, bitter, and umami, spiciness isn't a taste, but it's a sensation of pain from certain chemicals in the food, hijacking your mouth's heat sensors and tricking them into thinking your mouth is a higher temperature than it actually is. There are a number of different chemicals that do this, but we're gonna talk about 4 that are in our hummus today. The first is capsaicin. This one is the big superstar that gets all the credit for spiciness, and it's gonna be in the form of 2 habanero peppers that we're gonna slice and put in our hummus. Habaneros can reach up to 350,000 on the Scoville scale, which is basically a measure of capsaicin concentration. That's 10 times a jalapeno, and if you watch Hot Ones, 3 times the bomb beyond insanity. I removed the seeds because they're not gonna blend well, and they have 0 capsaicin. The capsaicin is actually highest in the white veins on the inside of a pepper. I sliced up the peppers, and then for a bit more capsaicin and some smokiness, I added a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, which is basically a mix of dried red peppers. Speaking of dried peppers, how much capsaicin is in black pepper? Trick question, none. Black pepper is spicy because of a completely different compound called piperine. Peppercorns are neither peppers nor corn. They're actually a dried berry that grows on a vine. Unripe, they're green. Ripe, they're black. And without the skins, they're white. For our hummus, I'm gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper so that it blends in and you don't have specks in the final product. The next compound that brings the pain is allicin, which can be found in raw garlic. If you don't think raw garlic is spicy, just rub some on your eyeballs and see what you think. Ooh, wow. Not worth it, not worth it. Like and subscribe. That's the thing about spice that's different from the other 5 tastes. You can feel the effects of spiciness all over your body, not just your mouth. That's why capsaicin is actually in a lot of pain relievers that you can put on your skin to dull your body's pain receptors. Which brings us to our final spice compound, which you definitely know from pain relievers, and that's menthol. Think about how Icy Hot or Tiger Balm will trick your skin into thinking there's a temperature shift that isn't really there. The same thing happens when you eat mint or peppermint, which I'm gonna use as a garnish for the hummus. To balance out the spice with some sweetness, I added a whole honey mango or atolfo mango, which also comes from Mexico, just like the habanero. Blend everything together for 3 to 4 minutes until it's all super smooth, and then let it sit in the fridge while you bake your pita. Preheat your oven to 425 with a pizza stone or a pizza steel or even a baking sheet inside while you roll out your pita to 2 to 3 millimeters of thickness. Slide it in, cook for about 45 seconds, then flip it over, cook for another minute, and that's when you should see the pita begin to puff. The goal is to make the pita puff from edge to edge. That's gonna give you a nice pocket inside and make the whole thing light and fluffy. Sometimes you just get a partial puff, and that's totally okay. It's still gonna make a delicious pita for dipping in hummus. You just may not have a full pocket if you wanna use it for a stuffed sandwich. You can also cook these pitas on the stovetop if you have a cast iron. Just make sure the burner is turned up all the way so the pan is nice and hot. If you like warm, fluffy pitas with your hummus, just wrap these in a towel as they come out to keep them warm. But if you like hard, crunchy pita chips, split the pita in half, brush both sides with some olive oil, then cut into pita-sized chips and put them back in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes, flipping and rotating them about halfway so they brown on both sides. Keep an eye on them because they brown pretty quickly. Top off your pita chips with some salt, and top off your hummus with a drizzle of olive oil, a sprinkling of smoked paprika, and a sprig of fresh mint. And get ready for the pleasure and pain of mango habanero hummus. Now, my favorite part of the episode, eating. I'm gonna start with the fresh pita. It's like an orchestra playing a symphony, one section at a time. The habanero is a powerful punch of spice, and then the smoky paprika kind of levels that out. And then as you finish, the mint hits you in your nose. Listen to this. This is my new go-to app for a dinner party or a game night. It looks like a hummus, it dips like a hummus, but it does not taste like your normal hummus. It will punch you and knock you down if you aren't expecting it. So be careful, eat at your own risk. This is Lazy Susan Fusion.